Commander Zekthor had served in the Valdorian Imperial Fleet for 30 years. In all that time, he had never seen anything that truly surprised him. The galaxy was mapped, charted, and controlled. Every ship that moved through space was registered in the Imperial database. Every planet that held intelligent life paid tribute to the Empire. This was the way things had been for 12,000 years. His ship, the Infinite Authority, was one of the largest dreadnoughts in the fleet. It stretched nearly 2 miles from bow to stern, bristling with weapons and shielded by energy barriers that could withstand direct hits from nuclear warheads. The ship patrolled the Outer Rim territories, making sure that no one dared to challenge Imperial authority in the frontier regions. Today had been like every other day. Zekthor stood on the bridge, his 4 eyes scanning the displays out of habit rather than necessity. His crew of 200 moved through their duties with practiced efficiency. The sensor stations beeped softly. The engine hummed with power. Nothing ever changed out here, in the quiet sectors. "Commander," his sensor officer called out. Her name was Tilva, and she had been with him for 5 years. She was good at her job, never raising alarms unless something truly required attention. But now, her voice carried a note he had never heard before. Confusion, maybe even worry. "What is it?" Zekthor asked, turning toward her station. "We have a contact, sir." Unidentified. Vessel entering Sector 947. Zekthor felt a flicker of annoyance. Probably another smuggler with a broken transponder. Send them a warning and prepare the boarding teams. We will levy the standard fine. "Sir, I already sent 3 hails." No response. Tilva's skin was changing color, shifting from her usual deep blue to a pale gray. Among her species, that color meant genuine confusion. "And Commander, there is something else. The ship is not in our database." Zekthor walked over to her station, his boots clicking on the metal floor. "Not in the database? That is impossible. Every ship in the galaxy is registered." "I know, sir. I have checked twice. The computer shows no match for the vessel's energy signature, no match for its hull design, and no match for any known species." Now Zekthor felt his own skin prickling. In 12,000 years of Imperial rule, every intelligent species had been found, catalogued, and brought into the Empire. Some had joined willingly. Others had required more persuasion. But all of them were known. An unknown ship meant either a computer error or something far more serious. "Show me," he ordered. The main viewing screen shifted, displaying the strange vessel. Zekthor stared at it, his mandibles clicking together rapidly. The ship was small, perhaps 1/10 the size of the Infinite Authority, but its design was unlike anything he had ever seen. Most ships were built like boxes or cylinders, with obvious weapons, arrays, and engine ports. This ship was smooth and sleek, almost like a blade cutting through space. He could see no weapons, no visible engines, no external features at all, except for a few small ports along its hull. "Size?" he asked. "Approximately 300 meters long, sir," Tilva reported. "Mass readings are strange, though. It is much lighter than it should be for its size." "Speed?" "0.8 light speed, sir. In normal space." Zekthor felt his blood temperature drop. "That is impossible. Nothing moves that fast without engaging warp fields." "What is their warp signature?" "That is just it, sir. There is no warp signature, no gravitational distortion, no subspace wake, nothing. The ship is traveling at 0.8 light speed in completely normal space." Every officer on the bridge had stopped working now. They were all staring at the screen, at the impossible ship that was breaking every law of physics they knew. "Our fastest interceptors can only reach 0.4 light speed," Zekthor said slowly, "and that is with full power to the engines and no weapons active. How is this ship moving so fast?" No one had an answer. "Where is it heading?" he asked. His navigation officer, a young male named Pixton, checked his displays. Current trajectory puts them on a direct course toward the Imperial core world, sir. If they maintain speed, they will reach the inner territories in 3 days. 3 days. An unknown vessel, with unknown capabilities, heading straight for the heart of the Empire. Zekthor felt a cold weight settling in his stomach. This was the kind of situation that ended careers. Or started wars. "All hands to battle stations," he ordered. His voice carried across the ship through the communication system. Alarms began to sound. Crew members rushed to their posts. Weapons systems powered up with a rising whine. "Tilva, send a priority alert to Imperial Command. Code Black. Tell them we have an unidentified contact moving at impossible speeds toward the core worlds." "Yes, sir." Her fingers moved across her console. "Message sent. They are acknowledging receipt. Helm. Match course and speed with the unknown vessel. Get us as close as you can." "Sir. Our maximum speed is 0.4. We cannot match them." "Then get us to 0.4 and do your best to keep up." Zekthor snapped. "Weapons. Prepare targeting solutions. If that ship makes any hostile move, I want to be ready." "Sir," Tilva interrupted, "I am detecting more activity. 3 more Imperial vessels are moving to intercept from different vectors. They received our alert." "Sig. Axton. Good. At least they would have backup. But even 4 dreadnoughts might not be enough if this unknown ship had weapons to match its speed." "Keep trying to hail them," Zekthor ordered. "Use every frequency we have. If they are just lost, they need to respond before we are forced to fire on them." Minutes passed. The strange ship continued on its course, seemingly unaware or unconcerned about the Imperial vessels trying to catch up. Zekthor watched it on the screen, his mind racing through possibilities. Was this an invasion? First contact with an unknown species? Some kind of automated probe? Nothing made sense. "Sir, they are slowing down," Pixton called out suddenly. "Dropping to 0.5 light speed. 0.4. 0.3. They are matching our speed." "They know we are here," Zekthor muttered. "Weapons. Stand ready. This could be a trap." "Sir, incoming transmission," Tilva said, her skin flushing with relief. "They are hailing us." "Put it through." The view screen flickered. And suddenly, Zekthor was looking at a creature he had never seen before. It had only 2 eyes, placed close together in a flat face. Its skin was smooth and pink. Hair grew from the top of its head in a brown mass. The creature wore some kind of dark uniform with insignia that meant nothing to him. "Unknown vessel," Zekthor said, letting his translator handle the communication. "You have violated Imperial space. You will halt immediately and prepare to be boarded for inspection, or you will be destroyed." Zekthor, Captain Jake Morrison, had been in space for 3 months now, and he still was not tired of the view. Earth had given him the Wanderer, one of 7 ships built to explore the galaxy and see what was out there. So far, they had found 2 alien species. Both had been friendly enough, trading information about their local space and seeming curious about humans. Neither had been particularly advanced. Their ships were slow, their weapons primitive. This empire, though, this was different. Jake sat in his command chair, studying the massive warship on his view screen. It dwarfed the Wanderer, bristling with weapons that could probably turn his ship into dust in seconds. 3 more just like it were approaching from different directions. He kept his face calm, but his heart was beating faster than normal. "They look pretty mad," said Lieutenant Amy Chen from her station at Communications. She was young, only 25, but she had a gift for reading alien body language. "That commander guy is clicking his mouth parts really fast. The computer says that means he is agitated." "Can you blame him?" asked Commander Ben Harper, Jake's second in command. "We just showed up in his space, moving faster than anything he has ever seen. I would be agitated too." Jake nodded slowly. Amy, open a channel. Let us see if we can talk our way out of getting blown up. The alien commander appeared on the screen. He had 4 eyes, all of them fixed on Jake with an intensity that was hard to ignore. His skin was a dark purple color, and his mouth was full of moving parts that clicked and shifted as he spoke. The translator turned his words into flat, emotionless English. Unknown vessel, you have violated Imperial space. You will halt immediately and submit to boarding, or you will be destroyed. Jake leaned forward, keeping his posture relaxed and non-threatening. This is Captain Jake Morrison, of the Earth vessel Wanderer. We mean no harm, and were unaware we had entered claimed territory. We are on a peaceful exploration mission. The alien's eyes widened slightly. Earth? There is no planet named Earth in any Imperial records. You are not in our database. This is impossible. Well, we are pretty new to the whole space travel thing, Jake admitted. We only developed warp capability about 6 months ago. We have been mapping nearby star systems and just found your corner of the galaxy. The silence that followed was so complete that Jake could hear his own breathing. On the alien bridge behind the commander, he could see other crew members frozen in place, staring at their screens. You claim, the commander said slowly, that your species achieved faster than light travel only 6 of your cycles ago? Yes, sir. We are from a system you probably have listed as... Jake checked his navigation computer. Sol 4387. Small. Yellow star. 3rd planet. We call it Earth. Sol 4387 is listed as lifeless, the commander stated flatly. Imperial surveys marked it as containing only primitive bacteria, 4,000 cycles ago. Jake grinned despite the situation. Well, we evolved a bit since then. Look, we do not want any trouble. We are just exploring. Is there some kind of registration process we need to go through? Or, you will halt your vessel immediately, the commander interrupted. You are moving at speeds that should be impossible without gravitational warp fields. Yet our sensors detect no warp signature. Explain your propulsion system. Number 10. Jake glanced at Ben, who shook his head slightly. Before leaving Earth, they had been very clear in their instructions. Share cultural information freely. Share technology, not until humanity understood its position in the galaxy better. I am afraid that is proprietary information, Jake said diplomatically. But I can tell you it is not based on gravitational manipulation. We went a different route with our research. Another long pause. Then the commander spoke again. And this time, his translator did not quite hide the emotion in his voice. Fear. How many ships does Earth possess? Jake considered lying, making Earth seem more powerful than it was. But lies had a way of being discovered, and that could make things worse later. 7 exploration vessels, he said honestly. All built in the last 6 months. We are a new, spacefaring civilization. Commander, we are not a threat to your empire. We just want to explore and learn. 7 ships, the commander repeated. 7 ships that can outrun our entire fleet. We are not here to race anyone, Jake said. We are here to make friends. Look, how about this? We will stop running if you promise not to shoot at us. We can talk, figure out what kind of relationship our peoples should have. Sound good? The commander was quiet for a long moment. Jake could see him talking to his crew, though the audio was muted. Finally, he turned back to the screen. Very well. You will maintain your current position. I am sending a message to Imperial Command. They will decide how to proceed with this situation. That is fine, Jake agreed. We will be right here. Take your time. The screen went dark. Jake let out a breath he had not realized he was holding. Well, Ben said, that could have gone worse. Could have gone better too, Amy pointed out. Did you see how many weapons that ship has? And there are 4 of them now. Jake turned to his tactical officer, Lieutenant Dan Price. Dan, what is your assessment? If they decide to fire on us, can we get away? Dan studied his screens for a moment. Yes, sir. We can accelerate to .9 light speed in about 10 seconds. It would take them at least 2 minutes to get their weapons locked on us at that speed. We would be long gone. Good to know. Jake activated his communication system. Amy, send a message back to Earth. Priority level. Let them know we have made contact with a major galactic power, and we might need some backup. On it, sir. Jake stood and walked to the main view screen, staring at the 4 alien warships. They were keeping their distance, about 50,000 kilometers away, close enough to respond if the Wanderer tried anything, far enough to have reaction time if Jake decided to run. He thought about Earth, about his wife and kids back home. They had been so proud when he was selected to captain the Wanderer. First contact with aliens, exploring the galaxy. All the exciting stuff they had dreamed about as kids. No one had really considered what would happen if they found someone bigger and stronger than humanity. Sir, Amy called out, I am picking up a lot of chatter on Imperial frequencies. They are talking about us. A lot. Can you translate any of it? Some. They keep using words like impossible and unknown and threat. Oh, and they just mentioned something called the Grand Council. Sounds important. Ben came to stand beside Jake. You think they will let us go? I do not know, Jake admitted. We scared them. They have ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years. And suddenly we show up, breaking all their rules about how fast a ship can go. That makes us unpredictable, dangerous. So, what do? Jake smiled slightly. We do what humans do best. We improvise. That is not very reassuring, sir. It is all I have got right now. Hours passed. The Wanderer stayed in position while the Imperial ships watched. Jake's crew stayed at their stations, ready to move at a moment's notice. The tension on the bridge was thick enough to cut with a knife. Finally, Amy spoke up. Sir, incoming transmission. It is not from the commander. It is from someone calling himself High Chancellor Vex I am. High Chancellor? That sounds official. Jake returned to his chair. Put him through. Jake Rios. The screen lit up with a new alien. This one was taller than the commander, wearing elaborate robes covered in symbols and decorations. He had the same 4 eyes, the same purple skin, but something about him radiated authority. Captain Morrison, the High Chancellor said. I am Vex, I am High Chancellor of the Valdorian Empire. I speak with the voice of Emperor Vexnal himself. Your arrival has caused quite a stir in our government. Admiral Kate Sullivan had been in the military for 23 years. She had commanded submarines in the Pacific, fighter squadrons over combat zones, and now she commanded Earth's entire orbital defense system. She was used to stress. But today was different. She sat in her office aboard Orbital Command Station 1, staring at the message that had just arrived from the Wanderer. Captain Jake Morrison had made contact with something called the Valdorian Empire, an empire that had ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years, an empire that had never heard of Earth. Her assistant, Lieutenant Chris Baker, knocked and entered. Ma'am, the Security Council is ready for the emergency meeting. Kate nodded and stood, smoothing down her uniform. Let us go see what the politicians want to do about this. The virtual conference room was already full when she arrived. President Ryan Matthews of the North American Union was there, along with Chancellor Lisa Schmidt from the European Federation, Premier Hong Wei from the Asian Alliance, and a dozen other leaders from Earth's major governments. They all looked worried. Admiral Sullivan, President Matthews said, we have all read Captain Morrison's report. Is it accurate? I have known Jake Morrison for 10 years, sir. If he says he found an empire that spans the galaxy, then he found one. An empire we knew nothing about, Chancellor Schmidt said quietly. How is that possible? We have been sending out probes for the last 3 months. Our probes can only reach nearby systems. Kate explained. And they travel at 0.5 light speed. The galaxy is a big place. We were bound to miss things. Or someone was avoiding us, suggested General Paul Chen from Pacific Defense Command. Maybe this empire wanted to see what we would do before revealing themselves. Does it matter? Premier Hong asked. The point is, they are here now. And according to Captain Morrison, they have thousands of warships. Kate pulled up the data on the main screen. Yes, but those warships are slow. Our ships are twice as fast as their best vessels. That gives us an advantage that lasts only as long as they do not figure out how we do it, Chancellor Schmidt pointed out. Captain Morrison was right to refuse to share our propulsion technology. But that might make them angry. Better angry than armed with our technology, General Chen said. We need time to build up our forces. Right now, 7 ships is nothing. We need hundreds, maybe thousands. President Matthews leaned forward. What is your assessment, Admiral? Are they a threat? Kate thought carefully before answering. Captain Morrison said they seemed scared and confused more than hostile. They have ruled for 12,000 years by knowing everything that happens in their space. We are something new, something they cannot control or understand. That makes us unpredictable. And dangerous, Premier Hong added. Exactly. But it also gives us leverage. They do not know what we are capable of. They do not know if we have more ships hidden somewhere, or better weapons, or what our intentions are. As long as they are uncertain, they will be cautious. So we use their fear to our advantage? Chancellor Schmidt asked. We use their uncertainty, Kate corrected. We present ourselves as peaceful, but capable. We make it clear that attacking us would be costly, even if they could win. And we buy ourselves time to build up our defenses. What if they call our bluff? President Matthews asked. What if they decide to blockade Earth, keep us from expanding, until we share our technology? Then we run, Kate said simply. Our ships are faster. They cannot catch us unless we let them. We could slip past any blockade, explore, and colonize in secret, while they waste resources trying to contain us. General Chen nodded slowly. A game of cat and mouse. But can we win it long term? We do not need to win, Kate said. We just need to survive long enough to become strong enough that attacking us is not worth the cost. The discussion continued for another hour. Finally, President Matthews called for a decision. We are agreed then. Captain Morrison will continue negotiations, sharing cultural information but no technology. We accelerate the shipbuilding program, with a target of 50 vessels in the next 2 years. And we start looking for colony sites in systems far from Imperial space, places we can expand to if things go badly. What about allies? Premier Hong asked. Surely this empire has enemies. Species that would be happy to see a counterbalance to Imperial power. Kate considered that. It is possible, but we need to be careful. Any species that has survived 12,000 years of Imperial rule is either very weak or very good at playing politics. We cannot trust anyone until we understand the situation better. After the meeting ended, Kate returned to her office and opened a secure channel to Captain Morrison. His face appeared on her screen, looking tired but alert. Admiral, Captain, I have just finished briefing the Security Council. They agree with your approach. No technology sharing. Maintain peaceful intentions. And buy us time. Good, Jake said. Because the High Chancellor wants to talk again tomorrow. He says he is bringing proposals from the Emperor himself. Be careful, Jake. They are going to offer us things. Trade, protection, membership in their empire. All of it will come with strings attached. I know. But Admiral, there is something else. I have been monitoring their communications. They are scared. Really scared. Not just of our ships, but of what we represent. What do you mean? They have maintained order in the galaxy by being the most advanced species. Their technology, their weapons, their ships. All of it is better than everyone else's. That is how they control things. But we showed up, and suddenly they are not the most advanced anymore. We broke their rules. Kate felt a chill. And that makes every other species in the galaxy start wondering what else might be possible. Exactly. If humans can build ships that fast in 6 months, what else can they do? What else can we do? The Empire is not just scared of us. They are scared that we are going to inspire rebellion. Are we? Jake smiled slightly. Depends on how this goes. If they treat us fairly, we have no reason to cause trouble. But if they push us, then we push back, Kate finished. And suddenly, every species that has been under their thumb for thousands of years sees that the Empire can be challenged. That is a lot of pressure on 7 ships and 1 small planet, Admiral. I know. That is why we need to be smart. Play this right, and we become a major player in galactic politics. Play it wrong, and we start a war we cannot win. Jake nodded. I will do my best. I know you will. Kate closed the channel and looked out the window of her office. Earth hung below her, blue and beautiful and completely unaware of how much danger it was in. Down there, people were going about their lives, working and playing and dreaming about the future. They did not know that their entire species was balanced on a knife edge. She activated her communicator. Get me the shipyards. I want a status report on all construction projects. A moment later, a voice responded. Admiral. This is Shipyard Command. Current status. 3 more exploration vessels are 60% complete. 2 defense frigates are at 80%. The new cruiser is still in design phase. Not good enough. I want all ships completed in 3 months, instead of 6. And the cruiser needs to be in production within a month. Admiral, that will require pulling workers from other projects. Food production, habitat expansion, everything will slow down. I understand. But if we do not have ships to defend ourselves, none of that other stuff will matter. Make it happen. 9. End. 9. 9. 9. 9. 9. Yes, ma'am. Kate ended the call and pulled up the star charts. The galaxy was huge, filled with millions of stars and countless planets. Somewhere out there, an ancient empire was debating what to do about the upstart humans who had dared to exceed their technology. And somewhere else, other species were watching and waiting, wondering if humanity might be the key to their own freedom. Kate thought about her daughter, who was 10 years old and dreamed of being a starship captain someday. She thought about all the children on Earth, all the people who deserved a chance to explore the stars without fear. We are going to make this work, she whispered to herself. Whatever it takes. 2. She pulled up the files on human technological development. In 6 months, humanity had gone from barely reaching Mars to crossing light years in hours. Their fusion drives were more efficient than anything the Valdorian Empire had created in 12,000 years. Their materials science was decades ahead of galactic standards. Their computer systems were faster, smaller, and more powerful. Earth had one advantage that the Empire did not. They were new. They were not locked into old ways of thinking, old technologies that had worked for so long that no one questioned them. Humanity had started from scratch and built something different, and that difference might be the only thing that saved them. Kate made a decision. Communications. Get me Dr. Lynn Foster at the Propulsion Research Lab. A moment later, a woman's face appeared on the screen. She was in her 40s, with gray streaks in her dark hair and the tired eyes of someone who had not slept in days. Admiral Sullivan, Dr. Foster said. I was just about to call you. We have been analyzing the Imperial ship designs that Captain Morrison sent back. You need to see this. What did you find? They are using gravitational warp fields, just like we theorized. But their implementation is incredibly inefficient. They are using massive amounts of energy to create a relatively small warp bubble, our quantum displacement. The throne world of Valdoria Prime was the most important planet in the galaxy. It sat at the center of the empire, surrounded by layers of defense stations and patrol fleets. The planet itself was beautiful, with crystal towers that reached into the clouds and gardens that stretched for miles. 10 billion beings lived there, all of them serving the empire in some way. At the heart of the capital city stood the Grand Palace, where Emperor Thexanal ruled over his vast domain. The palace was ancient, built when the empire was young, and filled with rooms that had seen 12,000 years of history. Today, those rooms were filled with worried officials. The Grand Council chamber could hold 10,000 representatives from across the empire. Usually it was empty, except for routine meetings. But today, it was packed with the highest-ranking members of the imperial government. Emperor Thexanal himself sat on his throne, something he had not done for 300 years. His presence alone told everyone how serious the situation was. High Chancellor Vex I am stood before the throne, waiting for permission to speak. He had been traveling for 3 days, returning from his initial conversation with the human captain. Now he would have to explain to the Emperor and the Council what he had learned. "Speak," the Emperor said. His voice was old and deep, carrying the weight of centuries. "Vex I am bowed. Your Majesty, honored council members, I have made contact with the species. Calling themselves humans, they claim to have achieved faster than light travel only 6 of their months ago. They have 7 ships, all capable of speeds that exceed our fastest vessels by a significant margin." A murmur ran through the chamber. Grand Admiral Chixtel stepped forward. He was old, even by Valdorian standards, and had commanded fleets for 200 years. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Our scientists have studied propulsion for 8,000 years. The gravitational warp field is the only viable method for faster-than-light travel. Yet these humans exceed our capabilities after only 6 months of research? They are using a different method," Vex I am explained. "Something they call quantum displacement. Our sensors detect no gravitational manipulation at all. They appear to be moving through normal space at speeds that should be impossible." Science Arbiter Colvin spoke up. She was responsible for all Imperial research and development. "That is theoretically possible, but the energy requirements would be enormous. No known power source could provide enough energy for such a system. Then perhaps their power source is also unknown to us." Silence fell over the chamber. The implications were staggering. A species had appeared that was technologically superior to the Empire in multiple areas. In 12,000 years, that had never happened. Emperor Thexanal leaned forward slightly. "What are their intentions?" "They claim to be peaceful explorers. Vex I am reported. They say they did not know our space was claimed, that they were simply mapping nearby systems." Captain Morrison was cooperative and polite, but he refused to share technical information about their ships. "Suspicious," Admiral Chixtel said. "They claim to be peaceful, but hide their technology. I say we contain them now, before they become a larger threat. Blockade their system. Prevent them from expanding until they agree to our terms." "And if they refuse?" asked Trade Minister Hicks Vol. "According to the reports, their ships are faster than anything we have. How do we blockade a species that can simply run away?" 22. "We could destroy them," Admiral Chixtel suggested. "Target their homeworld before they have a chance to spread further. 1 planet, 1 species. Better to eliminate the threat now than face it later." The chamber erupted in argument. Some agreed with the Admiral, calling for immediate military action. Others argued for diplomacy, for trying to understand these humans before making them enemies. The debate grew heated, with accusations and counter-accusations flying back and forth. Emperor Thexanal raised one hand, and silence fell immediately. "Enough," he said. "Admiral Chixtel, your suggestion is noted. But I will not order the destruction of an entire species based on fear alone. That is not how we have maintained order for 12,000 years. "But, Your Majesty," the admiral protested. "The risk is significant," the emperor agreed. "But so is the opportunity. Think, all of you. For 8,000 years, our propulsion technology has remained essentially unchanged. We mastered the gravitational warp field and stopped looking for alternatives. Now these humans show us that other methods exist. Methods that are superior to our own. Methods, Your Majesty. Surely you are not suggesting we try to copy their technology?" Colvin asked. "Why not? We have absorbed the knowledge of thousands of species. This should be no different. Except that they will not share it? Vex. I am pointed out. I tried multiple times to learn about their systems. Captain Morrison was friendly, but firm. He said their technology was not for sale or trade." Emperor Vexnal tapped his fingers on the arm of his throne, a sign that he was thinking deeply. "Then, we must consider other approaches. Vex I am. What is your assessment of these humans? Are they warlike?" "No, Your Majesty. They seem cautious but genuinely interested in peaceful contact. Captain Morrison spoke of exploration and learning, not conquest or domination. And their numbers? 7 ships, as I said. All exploration vessels with minimal weapons. They claim their home world has approximately 9 billion inhabitants. 9 billion, the Emperor mused. A significant population, but not unusual. And yet with that population and only 6 months of spaceflight, they have built ships that surpass ours. Their advancement rate is extraordinary. Minister Hicksvall leaned forward. "Your Majesty, there is another consideration. Word is spreading. Already, 17 different species have sent inquiries asking about the humans. They want to know if the reports are true, if there really is a species that can outrun Imperial ships. Let me guess," the Emperor said dryly. "These are species that have been less than satisfied with Imperial rule?" "Yes, Your Majesty. The Korthax Confederation, the Million Free Worlds, the Outer Colonies Alliance. All of them have been quiet about their dissatisfaction, but all of them have large populations and significant resources. And now they see humans as a symbol. Vex, I am said. Proof that the Empire is not all-powerful. Proof that advancement beyond Imperial technology is possible." Admiral Chixtel's skin darkened with anger. "Then we must act quickly. Show the galaxy that challenging the Empire has consequences. Crush these humans and make an example of them. And turn them into martyrs?" the Emperor asked. "No, Admiral. Fear only maintains order for so long. Eventually, it breeds rebellion. We need a different approach. What do you suggest, Your Majesty?" "Vex, I am asked." The Emperor stood, something he rarely did. At his full height, he towered over everyone in the chamber. His sensory tendrils extended fully, a display of his authority. For 12,000 years, we have ruled through military superiority and economic dominance. We have demanded tribute, enforced our laws, and crushed resistance. It has worked because we were always the strongest, the most advanced, the most powerful. He paused, his eyes scanning the assembled officials. But these humans have shown us that our position is not guaranteed. They achieved in 6 months what we have not achieved in 8,000 years. That means one of two things. Either we have become complacent, content with our current technology and unwilling to innovate, or there are paths to advancement that we have not considered. Or both, Science Arbiter Colvin said quietly. Exactly. The humans are a wake-up call. They show us what is possible when a species approaches problems with fresh thinking, without the burden of tradition and established methods. "So, what do we do?" Minister Hicksvall asked. "We adapt," the Emperor said. "We offer the humans a treaty. Recognition of their sovereignty, freedom to explore and expand, trade rights, all the things a new species would want. In exchange, they agree to neutrality in imperial politics and limited technological cooperation. They will never agree to share their propulsion technology," Vex IM said. "Perhaps not immediately. But if we treat them as equals, as partners, rather than subjects, they may eventually trust us enough to share knowledge. And even if they do not, the treaty buys us time. Time to study their ships from a distance. Time to develop our own innovations. Time to strengthen our position. Admiral Chix-Tell looked unhappy but said nothing. The rest of the council murmured among themselves, considering the proposal. There is wisdom in this approach, Trade Minister Hicks-Vall said. The humans want to be left alone. We grant them that. And in exchange, they do not become a rallying point for our enemies. And what if they break the treaty? Admiral Chix-Tell asked. What if they decide to expand aggressively, or share their technology with our enemies? Then we respond accordingly, the Emperor said. But for now, we extend the hand of friendship. Vex-I-Am, you will lead a diplomatic delegation to meet with the humans. Negotiate a treaty that benefits both sides. Show them that the Empire can be reasonable when dealing with equals. Quote, equals? The Admiral sputtered. Your Majesty, they are a single planet with 7 ships. We control thousands of systems with millions of vessels. How can you call them equals? The Emperor fixed him with a steady gaze. They have technology we do not. They move faster than we can. And most importantly, they have shown us that the Empire is not infallible. That makes them equals, Admiral. Whether we like it or not. He sat back down on his throne, a signal that the discussion was over. The decision is made. Vex-I-Am will negotiate with the humans. We will offer them a treaty of mutual respect and cooperation. And while he does that, Colven, you will take our best scientists and begin researching alternative propulsion methods. I want to know how the humans do what they do, even if we have to figure it out ourselves. Yes, Your Majesty, Colven said. One more thing, the Emperor added. This situation is to be handled with absolute discretion. The less panic we cause among our subject species, the better. Present the humans as curious newcomers, not as a threat to Impe. 3 weeks had passed since the first contact with the Valdorian Empire. Now the Wanderer floated in neutral space, exactly halfway between Earth and the nearest Imperial outpost. Captain Jake Morrison stood on his bridge, watching the display screens with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Around the Wanderer, other human ships had gathered. The exploration vessels Pathfinder and Horizon had arrived 2 days ago. Yesterday, 2 brand-new defense frigates had completed their shakedown runs and joined the formation. Earth was showing the Empire that humans could build ships quickly when they needed to. On the other side of the neutral zone, an enormous Imperial diplomatic cruiser waited. It was 5 times the size of any human vessel, covered in gold plating and ceremonial decorations. Around it, a dozen warships formed a protective escort. The Empire was also making a statement about its power. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood beside Jake on the bridge. She had come from Earth specifically for this meeting, bringing with her detailed instructions from the Security Council. Now she stared at the Imperial fleet with calm assessment. That is a lot of firepower, she observed. They want us to know they are serious, Jake said. But notice they are keeping their weapons powered down. They are trying to appear strong, but not threatening. Smart. We should do the same. Kate turned to the tactical station. Dan, make sure all our defensive systems are ready but not active. We want to look capable, but peaceful. Yes, ma'am. Lieutenant. Dan Price replied. A shuttle launched from the Imperial cruiser, heading slowly toward the Wanderer. Jake and Kate moved to the docking bay to greet their guests. The bay had been cleaned and polished until it gleamed. A small honor guard of Marines stood at attention in their dress uniforms. Earth was still new to space diplomacy, but they understood the importance of appearances. The shuttle docked with a soft thump. The airlock cycled, and High Chancellor Vex-I-Am stepped through. He was even taller than he had appeared on the view screen, nearly 7 feet high with elaborate robes that swept the floor. Behind him came a delegation of officials, scientists, and military officers. Jake stepped forward and extended his hand, a gesture the Empire had learned about during their previous communications. Vexiam clasped it awkwardly, his three-fingered grip careful not to apply too much pressure. High Chancellor Vexiam. Welcome aboard the Wanderer. I am Captain Jake Morrison, and this is Admiral Kate Sullivan, Commander of Earth's Orbital Defense Forces. Captain, Admiral, Vex, I am replied through his translator. On behalf of Emperor Thexnal and the Valdorian Empire, I thank you for agreeing to this meeting. Of course. Please, follow me. We have set up a conference room for the negotiations. The conference room was small by Imperial standards, but comfortable. Humans and Valdorians sat across from each other at a long table. The tension in the air was thick enough to feel. Vexiam spoke first. Let me be direct, Admiral Sullivan. Your arrival has created a complicated situation for the Empire. For 12,000 years, we have maintained order through technological and military superiority. Your ships challenge that superiority. Kate nodded slowly. We understand the Empire's concerns. But High Chancellor, we did not come to your space looking for a fight. We are explorers, not conquerors. We simply want to chart our own course without interference. And yet your very existence is interference. Vex, I am said. Already, 17 different species have contacted us, asking about humans. Some of them have been quiet opponents of Imperial rule for centuries. They see you as proof that the Empire can be challenged. That is not our problem. Kate said firmly. We did not ask to become a symbol for anyone. We just want to be left alone to develop in peace. Peace, Vex, I am repeated. The Empire has maintained peace in this galaxy for 12,000 years. Sometimes that peace required force, but it was still peace. Now you threaten to disrupt that balance. Jake leaned forward. With respect, High Chancellor, what you call peace, others might call oppression. We have been doing research over the last 3 weeks, talking to some of the species in this region. They pay heavy tribute to the Empire. They have limited rights. They cannot advance their technology without Imperial approval. That is not peace. That is control. Vexiam's skin darkened slightly, a sign of anger. But his voice remained calm. And what would you have us do? Allow every species to develop weapons that could threaten galactic stability? Allow territorial conflicts to escalate into wars? The Empire provides structure, order, and protection. At a cost, Kate said. But that is not why we are here. We are not trying to overthrow the Empire or free anyone. We just want a fair deal for Earth. Very well. Then let us discuss terms. Vexiam gestured to one of his aides, who produced a holographic display. The Empire is prepared to offer Earth full recognition as a sovereign system. You would have the right to explore and colonize uninhabited systems, trade freely with other species, and govern yourselves without Imperial oversight. That sounds good, Jake said carefully. What does the Empire want in return? 3 things. First, humanity agrees to remain neutral in any conflicts between the Empire and other species. You do not ally with our enemies, or provide them with technology or resources. Kate and Jake exchanged glances. That is acceptable, Kate said. We have no interest in galactic politics. Second, Vex. I am continued. Humanity agrees to limited technological cooperation. Not your propulsion technology necessarily, but other advances in materials science, computer systems, and engineering. We would share our knowledge as well. A genuine exchange of information. Also acceptable, Kate agreed. We can benefit from learning about Imperial technology too. And third, humanity agrees to respect Imperial borders and not expand into systems already claimed by other species without negotiation. That is just common courtesy, Jake said. Vexiam looked surprised. These terms are acceptable to you? Without debate or counteroffers? Kate smiled slightly. High Chancellor, these terms are exactly what we want. You are offering to leave us alone. Let us explore and trade knowledge on equal footing. That is better than we hoped for. But we are asking you to remain neutral, Vexiam said. If the Empire faces challenges, you cannot support our opponents. We understand. But understand this in return. If the Empire attacks us, or tries to control us, that treaty is void. We will defend ourselves and make alliances as we see fit. Fair enough, Vexiam said after a pause. These terms will be formalized in a treaty document. Emperor Thexnal will need to approve it. But I believe he will agree. How long will that take? Kate asked. 3 of your weeks, perhaps. We will need to present this to the Grand Council and ensure all parties understand the agreement. That is fine. In the meantime, can we continue our exploration? Comsea? Yes. But please avoid Imperial core territories. The outer regions are acceptable for your surveys. The negotiations continued for 3 more days. Details were hammered out. Language was refined, and potential problems were addressed. By the end, both sides had a treaty they could accept. On the final day, as Vexiam prepared to return to his ship, he paused at the airlock. Admiral Sullivan. Captain Morrison. May I speak candidly? Of course, Kate said. You have achieved something remarkable. In 6 of your months, you went from a planet-bound species to one that challenges the greatest empire in galactic history, not with weapons or threats, but simply by doing what we thought was impossible. We had good luck, Jake said modestly. No, Vexiam disagreed. Luck does not produce the kind of innovation I have seen in your technology. You thought differently than we did. You were not bound by 12,000 years of tradition and established science. You started fresh and found a better way. So what does that mean for the Empire? Kate asked. It means we have become complacent. We stopped looking for better ways to do things because the old ways worked well enough. Your arrival is a reminder that the galaxy still has surprises, still has room for new ideas and new approaches. He extended his hand in the human gesture. Kate shook it. I hope we can be friends, High Chancellor, she said. The galaxy is big enough for both of us. I hope so too, Admiral. I genuinely hope so. After the Imperial delegation departed, Jake and Kate stood on the bridge, watching the massive cruiser turn and accelerate toward Imperial space. The warships fell into formation around it, and soon they were just bright dots against the stars. Think they will keep the treaty? Jake asked. For a while, Kate said. At least until they figure out our propulsion system or develop something better themselves. By then, we will have more ships and better defenses. And if they break the treaty, Kate smiled, then we show them what else humanity can do. We have surprised them once. We can do it again. Kate smiled. We can do it again. She pulled up a star chart on the main display. Thousands of systems stretched in every direction, most of them unexplored by humans. We have 50 years before that treaty needs to be renewed. 50 years to explore, expand, and establish ourselves in the galaxy. Think we can do it, Jake? 6 months ago, we were stuck in one solar system. Today, we just negotiated a treaty with an empire that has ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years. As equals, she looked at him with confidence in her eyes. I think we can do anything. True, across the galaxy, in hundreds of systems and thousands of worlds, other species watched and wondered. The humans had done what everyone thought was impossible. They had appeared out of nowhere, with technology that exceeded the empires, and had negotiated a treaty that recognized them as equals. Some species saw hope in that. If humans could challenge the Empire's technological superiority, maybe they could too. Maybe the old order was not as permanent as it seemed. Other species saw opportunity. Humans were new and inexperienced in galactic politics. They could be allies, trading partners, or perhaps even pawns in larger games. And a few species saw a threat. If humans could advance so quickly, what would they become in 10 years? 100 years? Would they become the new dominant power in the galaxy? Only time would tell. But for now, in neutral space between two great powers, the Wanderer turned toward unexplored regions of the galaxy. Its crew was young and eager, ready to see what wonders and dangers waited among the stars. Behind them, Earth continued to build more ships. The orbital shipyards worked around the clock, producing vessels that could go where no Imperial ship could follow. In research labs, scientists worked on even better propulsion systems, more efficient power sources, and stronger defensive technologies. Humanity had entered the galactic stage. They had announced their presence not with violence or conquest, but by simply being better at solving problems than species with 12,000 years of experience. And that, perhaps, was the most frightening thing of all to the old powers of the galaxy. Because if humans could do the impossible once, they could probably do it again. The Wanderer's engines hummed to life, glowing with energy that the Empire still did not understand. Captain Jake Morrison gave the order, and the ship accelerated smoothly, quickly surpassing the speed limit that Imperial ships could never break. Within seconds, the Wanderer vanished from sensors, leaving only the stars and the infinite possibilities that waited in the darkness between them. Humanity's journey had only just begun. Royal authority. Understood, Your Majesty. As the council chamber emptied, Vex-I-Am remained behind. The Emperor gestured for him to approach. You have doubts, the Emperor said. It was not a question. These humans are remarkable, Your Majesty. Their captain is intelligent and perceptive. I think he knows exactly how much leverage he has. Good. Then he will negotiate seriously. Go, Vex-I-Am. Make us a treaty that prevents war and buys us the time we need. Vex-I-Am bowed and left. As he walked through the crystal corridors of the palace, he thought about Captain Morrison and his small, fast ship. The human had smiled when Vex-I-Am suggested that Earth's arrival had changed the balance of power in the galaxy. He had smiled because he already knew it was true. Drives use a fraction of the power and go twice as fast. How long until they figure out our system? Dr. Foster shook her head. Without the theoretical framework? Decades, maybe centuries. It is like trying to invent computers when you are still using mechanical calculators. The gap is just too big. Not. Reported Tao. Good. Keep working on improvements. If we can stay ahead of them technologically, we can stay safe. End quote. Understood, Admiral. Kate ended the call and leaned back in her chair. For the first time since the crisis began, she felt a small spark of hope. Humanity was not helpless. They had advantages. They had time. And they had something the Empire had lost long ago: the ability to innovate. I apologize for any trouble, Jake said carefully. As I told your commander, we did not know this was your territory. We are simply exploring. So you have said. Tell me, Captain, do all human ships move as fast as yours? All 7 of them. Yes. And could you build more? Jake paused. That was a loaded question. Eventually, yes. Why do you ask? Because, Captain Morrison, you have just changed the balance of power in the galaxy, whether you meant to or not. The creature looked calm, almost amused. When it spoke, the words came through the translator in clear Valdorian. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel Wanderer. We mean no harm and were not aware we had entered claimed territory. We are on a peaceful exploration mission. Earth? Zekthor felt his confusion deepen. There is no planet named Earth in any Imperial records. You are not in our database. This is impossible. The creature smiled, showing flat white teeth. Well, we are pretty new to the whole space travel thing. We only developed warp capability about 6 months ago. We have been mapping nearby star systems and just found your corner of the galaxy. Silence filled the bridge. 6 months? This species had only learned to travel between stars 6 months ago? And yet, they had built a ship that could outrun the Imperial fleet? Zekthor felt reality shifting beneath him. Something fundamental had just changed in the galaxy. He just did not know what it meant yet.